We have a lot on the go tonight with reaction and analysis from both sides of the border. But we'll start with the woman who was the chief U.S. negotiator for the original NAFTA, former U.S. Trade Representative Carla Hills. Ambassador Hills, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So what do you make of the president's latest broadside against Canada?
I think it's a very bad move. I have to say that Canada is one of our largest and closest allies, that we are connected in both economic and security issues. And I can't imagine why he had to send a letter off to the Prime Minister announcing a 35% tariff on Canada's goods starting August 1st.
How damaging do you think a 35% tariff would be to the U.S., to Canada, and to our relationship?
Well, a tariff is, the uncertainty is one factor. You know, businesses do not know how to establish their supply chains, so you create a lot of anxiety, and it really hurts businesses. You ask, what does it do with respect to our other relationships? You know, Canada and the United States have a unique security relationship. I believe they're the only two countries that have two generals that run jointly a security operation, NORAD, and keep North America safe. So many issues involve U.S.-Canada relationships that it's like shooting your sibling in the heart. I can't believe we're doing what we're doing.
You're an experienced negotiator. You know, what do you make of Trump issuing this tariff threat in the middle of trade talks? Things look to be going in the right direction. It seems like there was some positive signals being sent. Now he's just dumped this on us. Do you consider this a productive way of negotiating?
Not at all. I believe in diplomacy. I believe understanding what are the holdbacks to those on the other side of the table to granting what you want and understanding them well. Maybe you can give them a little more time. It makes a lot of difference. Before you even sit down at the table, you're throwing rocks at your opponent. I just don't see how you create an atmosphere where you can get a good agreement.
The president's justification for these tariffs, as you know, is that one, it will, bring in some much-needed government revenue, and two, it will revive U.S. manufacturing. Has there been any indication that this policy is working as he intended to this point?
You know, your statement that he wants to revive manufacturing in the United States, you know, we make autos, and we make them with Canada. They go back and forth across the border. So we're not only buying things from Canada, we're making them together. And it's a very large sector. The 35% that is supposed to apply on August 1st, you know, we don't know what's going to happen. And that uncertainty is really difficult for our manufacturers. And they're not all giants. You know, the majority of U.S. Businesses that export are small and medium-sized businesses. So this is not a good action for any government.
One thing that some experts said, of course, was that policies like this would lead to inflation. And there has been some price increases for some goods, but the president keeps falling back on this idea that inflation hasn't gone up all that much since he started this trade war. You know, the inflation rate is roughly where it was before he started with these tariffs. Do you think that will only encourage the president to double down on this policy?
Well, I hope that people stand up against it. As I said, you know, the fact that the effect of one tariff hasn't been as strident as was anticipated by some, but you know, you've got this 35% on August 1. You already had tariffs on things before that, and what is a business supposed to think about that? Do they turn to someone else? They've got something on the supply chain that needs a widget? Do they turn to somebody else to get it? And for how long? What kind of a commitment can they make? This is very poor for the U.S. economy and very, very poor for our reputation. You know, one of the key things for a good reputation is consistency. And all I can say is we've been consistently bad in recent months.
I don't want to speak for our Prime Minister and his negotiators, but I'm sure they are exasperated, frankly, at this point, right? There are shifting goalposts, there are different dates, things get delayed. There's this constant stream of taunts and threats from the Prime Minister, from the White House. What's your advice to Canadian leaders who are trying to reach a deal with this president, trying to navigate this landmine-filled trade negotiation field that is ahead of them?
I think I would advise them to talk to their contacts here in the United States. You know, they do have businesses that they're working with, chambers of commerce, and various economic leaders who could talk to their elected representatives and perhaps exerts either some intelligence or pressure on the president. I think going local and having it bubble up would make a difference. It may not change things, as you have seen in other circumstance in this administration. Their certainty is not one of their characteristics.
You're a free trader. How are you feeling when you see what the president has done with trade and in the country's relationship with others?
I think it's very sad. We have had half a century of prosperity across the globe with free and open trade. And today, we are tearing that up. And we're no longer the house with the light on the hill that President Reagan used to talk about. The lights went out and the house tumbled down the hill. And we got to start rebuilding that because our reputation has been tarnished.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you, former U.S. Trade Representative Ambassador Carla A. Appreciate you coming on.
It was my pleasure to talk with you. Thanks so much.